Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm here with my another amazing friend, Jerome, with whom I work together, and he is here because he is a bit of anime connoisseur. He has watched a lot more more animes compared to me, and in my opinion, he has one of the best taste when it comes to watching anime. So, Jerome, welcome to today's podcast.
Hello. You're too kind. I know a bit about anime. I wouldn't say I'm like a connoisseur, but I've seen a fair amount, I guess.
I think compared to me, you definitely are a connoisseur.
Yeah.
And well, to start today's podcast, I'll hit you with one of the hardest questions that you can ask anyone anime enjoyer or anime consuming person. What are your top 5 animes of all time?
Well, number one would probably be Cowboy Bebop, I guess. I mean, it's been my number one for a while. I mean, it's a well-known anime. I mean, like, everyone's really, like, heard of Cowboy Bebop. I mean, like, the obvious reasons, the animation's very good, the art style's great, music is, like, fantastic. It's just, like, how would I describe it? It's a space western, like, similar to something like Firefly, but at the same time has a bit of a same sort of vibe as something like Blade Runner, like a bit of a noir-esque kind of romantic in a sense, but it kind of tackles with like loneliness as well in a weird way. It's a really very good anime, and it's like it sort of does less is more sort of thing. It's very simple in its approach. It doesn't have to be too complicated to get where it's coming from. Yeah, and like every episode is like standalone and stuff. And it's just a very good anime. I mean,
so it's like the Monty Python of anime, basically each and every.
I mean, it's not as funny as Monty Python.
Well, comparing to the each and every dialogue in Monty Python, which are iconic, each and every episode in Cowboy Bebop could be iconic in your opinion.
Yeah, it's just episodic. Is that the right word? I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's good. And what are the others?
Berserk. I mean, another famous anime. Like, if you want like gritty sort of old school fantasy anime, like you can't go wrong with Berserk. It kind of feels a bit kind of Shakespearean in a way. It's very like tragic, like Macbeth, and like it's a stupid term, but people do compare it to Game of Thrones. It's like the Game of Thrones of anime, but which is kind of fair. It's like gritty. It's not like a Lord of the Rings. It's more, I guess, on the lines of something like Game of Thrones or Dark Souls, they say. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's very not for the faint of heart. It's not like something you would recommend to any old person. It's quite adult, but
so you need to be into anime in order to enjoy Berserk, or into like the dark theme.
Yeah, it has some disturbing stuff. So, but
interesting.
But if you can get through that, it's a very good anime. It's only about 25 episodes. Yeah, well worth it.
I watched Berserk. I have watched it. It's in my top 5 list as well. And it goes from like being top 1 or top 2 or 3. It depends on what kind of mood I am. Yeah. But I found like the character, the way I found Berserk is like from one of the meme on like, being a lonely person, like, that with the big sword, the guy under the tree. So I found the anime from that meme, and then I watched it, and I was like, my days, does this guy get to not live a happy life? Does he not deserve to be happy?
It's a struggle, and I think like sort of a recurring theme for a lot of animes is just relating to like characters' struggles and how they overcome.
That is the one similarity that we find in many animes. Yeah, that is true. Yep. And what are the others?
Steins Gate. Steins Gate. How would I describe Steins Gate? It's like a sci-fi / time travel show done really well. Like, it's one of the best written sort of time travel anime. Like, I wouldn't say anime. It's like pieces of fiction, I'd say, about I've seen. It's like very well written. It's still like Berserk and Bebop. It's like only 20 odd episodes, so you can pretty much get through it quite easily. And it's just it's kind of combines a lot of like sort of light-hearted comedy in a sense, but at the same time, when it gets serious, it gets very serious, and it kind of like doesn't let up in a way. And I think some people might be put off by like the first couple episodes because it's quite slow, not much happens, but you just gotta stick with it, and then it will all sort of make sense in a way. It's kind of like a roller coaster. When it goes up, it just doesn't stop, going ups and downs and whatever. and it's got a bit of romance in it, and it's like that's kind of done well. It's like a very well packaged anime, I'd say. It's like it wraps things up in one little thing, I'd say. So yeah. The fourth anime is Monster. Monster is like I want to say it's not very anime-esque, I'd say. It's more like a drama, but done in an anime sort of form. It's basically about a doctor that saves like this kid's life in Germany, and basically he finds out later on, like a couple of years later, that the same kid ends up being like a serial killer, and he feels like it's up to him to like put a stop to this. And
so it's like the what if the art teacher did not had accepted Hitler into the art school? Yeah?
In a sense, yeah, he feels like it's like because it's a moral dilemma for him, because he had at the beginning he had a choice between saving like the mayor or this kid, and he went for the kid, and then he starts, I think he like questions like, did I do the right thing and stuff?
Yeah.
And
that is very philosophical right there.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a slow burner. It's about like 70 odd episodes, but it's a very good anime, I think. I mean, a lot of these animes are quite well regarded. And then my number 5 one is probably like my favorite shonen anime. You probably hear that term quite a lot, shonen.
Oh yeah, but after you say your 5th best anime, I would love if you could explain what shonen means too.
Okay.
Means as well.
So yeah, my favorite shonen / sports anime, a genre that I feel gets kind of overlooked. Is Hajime no Ippo, which is basically a boxing anime about a kid that's learning to become a professional boxer. It's just like, I mean, I like boxing myself, and I like anime, and it's just a perfect combination of the two.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
And it's like kind of like, in a sense, like Monster. It's kind of slow burner. Like he kind of builds up to the fights. Like he does the training. He has the fights. The fights always like the most exciting bit. But then it's just, as you gradually watch it, it kind of like, it gets to a point where like you familiarize yourself with the characters. Yeah. So you kind of get invested with all the side characters and their fights in the gym, and it just makes like, I don't know, it just kind of makes it like watching boxing, where you watch like certain fighters and you kind of want to tune into them again, sort of thing. And like, in my opinion, it has some of the best fights in anime like ever. Like, so, I'd say Takamura versus Brian Hawk is one of my favorites. But
so your top 5 animes would be Bebop. What are they again? If you could read all of them.
Bebop, Berserk, Steins Gate, Monster, and Hajime no Ippo.
So all-time top 5 animes for you.
Yeah. I mean, they could probably like change like tomorrow or whatever, but those ones you can't really go wrong from my personal opinion. And
so mine top 5 is very weird. Like there is this term thrown around in anime community. Is they call us for the people who have been watching anime for a long time, they call them veteran. And the person who is watching is like a newbie or something. Is this that's the word they use? Yeah. And so, well, maybe I could be one of them. I just before we did this podcast, I was making note of how many animes I have watched ever, and it turns out I've watched like 19 different animes. So not a lot in when it comes to get into the anime world. So my top 5 are Berserk, Naruto, Vinland Saga, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Demon Slayer. I am a sucker for anime that has really, really good animation. The quality is really, really nice, and the good storytelling. Yeah. Those are the reasons why Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen are there. Vinland Saga, I like history. I like the Norse mythology and like this Viking conquest and that kind of stuff as well. So that's why I started watching Vinland Saga, and I'm so glad I watched Vinland Saga. It is really good. It teaches you lots of stuff. And Naruto is it's the nostalgia factor. Like when I was a kid, we could get this like CD player, and we could buy a CD, and then on that CD it would be like, like 10 different animes that were there, and I could choose what I wanted to watch. And Dragon Ball Z, I didn't really get into it. Like I didn't know why. Like I don't know why, but I didn't find Dragon Ball Z that like appealing or something like that. But Naruto was really good, and I liked Naruto, and I stopped watching anime completely since I was in year 10, year 8, year 10. Yeah, I stopped watching Naruto since then. But I started again like 3-4 years ago, and the first anime that I watched when I started was Naruto because I wanted to finish it, complete it. Then I realized how bloody long it is, and then I had to find a source that said, okay, these are the filler episodes. Don't watch them. You can watch the other ones, and that's how I watched Naruto.
Usually how it goes.
Yeah, and Berserk is it's very dark. I like the carrot. I like guts. I like guts quite a lot.
Everyone likes
Yeah.
guts.
I wish he had like good friends and like people who made him happy and all that. But
It kind of does. It's
but it's like he's always kind of alone, like the lone soldier and all that kind of thing. So yeah. But I also did a research on like, okay, what are the top anime of all time? You know, these different sources. What do they say? And there is a list. There was a list of top 25 animes by IGN. I haven't named all 25 of them, but it's quite interesting. Like Attack on Titan is number 17, Naruto is number 19, Full Metal Alchemist is number 1, Cowboy Bebop is number 2, One Piece is number 3, and your number 4 Monster is number 4, and your Hajime no Ippo number 5 is number 5 as well. But number 7 is Hunter x Hunter.
I mean, that's supposed to be quite a good anime. I mean, I haven't seen it myself, but I've heard good things about it.
With the Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah.
Have you watched Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah, I watched Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm pretty sure that will be the one, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, Brotherhood, yes.
Yeah.
It is that one.
It's a solid anime, yeah. Like, you can't really go wrong with it. Some people might think you're, like, maybe a normie for having it your favourite.
Normie, yeah.
Because it's kind of... Everyone says Full Metal Alchemist. It's kind of like when you talk about, like, favourite video games. It's kind of like the Ocarina of Time of, like, anime. But it's just a solid anime. Like, it's great. It's maybe a bit safe at parts, I guess, but I don't know.
The problem I have is like I have watched so many people talking about top 5 animes, top 10 animes, and Naruto or Dragon Ball Z is not in the list, and I wonder why. Am I missing something?
I think nowadays people might think it's because like having those on the list might be due to nostalgia, I guess, because nowadays like. Even with Naruto, might be considered old to some people. Like, like I don't know if I would like introduce someone to like an anime if Naruto or Demon Slayer, because Demon Slayer seems like more refined Naruto in this sort of sense. There's like less episodes, whereas Naruto, in my opinion, is a better show, probably like from what I've seen of Demon Slayer.
Yeah,
but I can understand getting through like 100 odd episodes. Some of it like. Be filler and stuff. Yeah. The animation not be as good as Demon Slayer. Like, I don't know. I think nowadays, like getting into anime, like especially new anime, is like a lot of animes are like more compact. There's like no filler involved. It's just like the animation's nice. Everything's kind of a bit more tidy and refined in a sense. Whereas I don't know, like now, like the older ones are.
So like it is secretly everyone's top 5, but they don't like to agree it is top 5.
Yeah,
is what I would say. I would say as well, because of course the thing when things become like one of your top 5 favorite or something like that, it's the nostalgia factor as well. Like the top 5 food items that you have ever eaten, one of them will be the food that you have eaten since you were a kid. Others might be like you went to a country, you found a cuisine, and turns out you really, really like it. Yeah. But like some of them will be the ones that you've been eating for a long time, and it might not be even like a best food when it comes to like talking about the food from your culture or where you come from and all those kind of things. But yeah, but is there any anime that is like underrated? You reckon?
Anime that is underrated?
Yeah.
Oof. I say a lot of old animes these days don't get talked about that much. Like a lot of animes like. Before the 2000s, I'd say. Like, especially like a lot of like OVAs.
What is OVA?
OVA is like, it's called, basically means original video animation. So it's like sort of straight to video sort of thing. So it was never released on TV. You'd have to get it in like a DVD or, it wouldn't be DVD. We would have been a VHS back in those days. Yeah. So it would have been very short, sort of like 3 episodes or 4 episodes, and they would be like 40 minutes long.
Was Baki one of those anime?
Maybe like an old version of Baki.
Yeah, like
but
the first, it looks very weird when you watch the old version.
Yeah, I think like the manga came out maybe, I think like 96 or something. Yeah.
So what is the one anime that you would say is underrated?
God, you gave me a loaded question. What would be an underrated anime that I've seen? The most underrated anime I've seen? I'll throw a film out there. Like, it's a film called Night of the Galactic Railroad. I kind of describe it as like a Ghibli film, but sort of minus the sort of like easygoing charm, and like it's quite a weird anime. It's quite vague. It's like they're animals basically, so there's no humans in it. And they're basically on this train going into like space, but are they like really like in space, or are they in like is it something to do with like the afterlife, like allegory for that? It's a very weird film, and it's like it's sort of anime you can't really get all the answers to, but I liked it a lot. That's a good one.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's underrated.
Well, you mentioned Studio Ghibli. Like, what makes it stand out? Because I hear that word quite a lot of times, and I know it's an studio, but I don't really know why it is so famous. Like, why everyone talks about it.
It's one of the most famous studios because like one of the main people like behind Studio Ghibli, the one that makes a lot of the films, is Hayao Miyazaki, and he's like very well known in like the anime community. He's like, I don't know, he just makes very nice looking anime. It's like crowd pleasers. Like one way you could describe it as like the Disney of anime in a sense. It's like a lot of family friendly stuff that adults can enjoy as well. I mean, have you seen any like Studio Ghibli stuff?
Well, but can you name some of them?
Spirited Away.
Well, yeah, that movie is very sad. That's why I haven't watched it. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
Is there any others?
Like Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, yeah, I have watched a bit of My Name is Totoro. Yeah. So it's like a cutesy
vibe,
cute, but like, you can
like
enjoy,
Disney basically, like, or Pixar. It's just
and
like
not a lot of violence going on in there.
For the most part, I guess. I mean, I know Mononoke has some
anime
moments.
without violence, huh?
And like Grave of the Fireflies is one that is kind of like that's Studio Ghibli, but that's definitely more adult and quite depressing.
It's the real story as well, isn't it? Grave of the Fireflies. It is inspired from a real story. Of
it's like
characters.
World War II and stuff.
Yeah, and I know a bit of that story, and that's the reason why I haven't watched it, because the story itself is very, very, very like dark, and it will make you cry and all that, very emotional. And I can't imagine watching an anime, because animes are very emotional. Like once you get into it, like if you really understand the animes and all that, when you watch it in English, like what I do, but you prefer not to watch it in English.
Oh, the dubbed and sub debate.
Yeah, what's the reason why?
I just like. I don't know, it just sounds more natural when I watch it subbed. Like it just makes sense with the characters they're portraying, and
like is the pitch of the voice and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I just prefer. I mean, I used to like watch dubbed because like that was the only thing I was able to get my hands on. But when I got into like subbed anime, I think when I got into subbed anime is when I really started to get into anime. Like I think Naruto was like the first sort of subbed anime I started watching, and I don't know. It's just. In my opinion, I don't want to cause any controversy.
No, I think many people would agree with that as well. Not me, but many other people.
Yeah, it just seems a bit. It just kind of sometimes the voice acting seems a bit like I don't know, unrealistic, a bit too like out there. I don't know. It's hard to explain, really.
Well, now you say that there are some very famous voice actors in Japan in anime industry, and they are legendary. Like when it comes to the animes, the voices they have done, and. I think I need to give it a go, but I think like I would be like those cockeyed like things like like one eye looking down and one eye looking up to see the accent and read it at the same time. Yeah. Because sometimes it's really fast as well, anime, like when they talk, and Japanese language it tends to be a bit faster than.
You get used to it. It's you kind of just have to learn to read the text quickly and then go look at the screen. Like it doesn't really help when you're watching like fight scenes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've just. Kind of growing.
So when you're watching fight scenes, you quickly change to the English dub and like
I don't know. Something like that.
Well, what do you think of the live action adaptation of anime?
It's not the best in the world. Sometimes you can get some hits, but usually it's not a very good adaptation of what they make. It's like you have two options. You may as well go with like the anime option because that's usually more faithful to like the manga. Yeah. That is adapted, and it just feels a bit cheap. I mean, I guess an okay example would be like Death Note, the live action, not the Netflix one, the Japanese one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was the
think-
Netflix one, and
That's
when I
not
was
very good.
when I was watching it, I think my consciousness was like 50% like attentive and 50% no, because I was in a very different situation that I can't explain here. I was watching it, and even then, I didn't like it. It was the thing was like, you know, the problem with making anime live action is like, in animation you can basically animate very complex scenes and very complex characters with very like complex attributes, like, you know, their body structure, their facial structure, their hair, everything. But it's really difficult to do that when it comes to live action, and also the kind of powers they have. It's like, imagine like, you know, there's live action Naruto, and like everyone has like, you know, like red eyes and like with the circle and everything. That would be weird. Like, it would feel a bit.
I mean, it's like you make that point, but it also kind of applies to like live action Disney films in a sense. It just looks ridiculous. It doesn't. It's that sort of stuff is meant to be like drawn and animated. It's not supposed to be like done in a realistic sort of way. It's just like, and it's usually just like computer graphics, isn't it?
Yeah.
CGI. So it's like, depending how good your CGI game is, it could look really like a cheap sort of PS2 game than what, you know, it's supposed to look like in a way. I don't know.
Is that what you
Not
think
PS2,
like differentiates
PS3.
from the Western anime with the Japanese anime? Because Western anime is not like hand-drawn anime; it's a CGI anime, most of it.
it's more so, isn't it?
Yeah,
I guess.
and-
Yeah.
And the Japanese anime, you can see the hand strokes in there, like the paintbrush strokes as well sometimes.
Hmm.
But like when you watch, let's say, Monsters Inc. or something like that, you see the monster with the furry, and like you can see the
Yeah.
every detail. But when you watch Japanese anime, you don't really see that. And I prefer Japanese anime over that one, because they are trying to make it like look live, but it's not live at the same time, which looks a bit weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, what do you think about it?
That's a good point. I mean, I guess like like if we talk about just Western animation and like Japanese animation in general, is definitely a different sort of style altogether. Like I find with like anime or just manga, like the Japanese art style is very like simple and like but effective. It's not like super detailed a lot of the times. Like a lot of things are kind of more pronounced in a way, like, you know, the eyes and whatever.
Yeah.
And just, I think that's like one of the main reasons, like myself or maybe even you would like, that's what we got like into anime. Like it just feels like something a bit different. Like you could tell something that's like different in like, you know, even like looking at video game box art, like from like the 90s, like Mario and stuff. It looks very appealing. It's quite cute.
Yeah.
Just like attractive. Like I know it sounds kind of shallow in a way, but I always find like the women in anime or girls in anime just look way better than the Western ones. Is that not?
Well, it's I mean,
But that's the thing. Like it appealed to me. I was like, I want to see more of this. You know?
exactly. Well, no one. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Well, there are a lot of people who watch anime because of that reason as well. Because the characters are appealing, not in like, you know, sexualized charm or something like that, but they are just like nice to look at. You can look at it, you can enjoy it. When it comes to like live action anime or live action adaptation, if you know the actor that is in the movie, and if you don't like the actor, you will not like the anime like the adaptation as well. So that already is one of the reasons why I would not enjoy it. And the other reason would be like, you know, they can't really do the job. Like they can't really portray, unless you are like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. and you're born to be like Iron Man or so. Like, unless you are that kind of character, like, you know, whose whole life is like one character. Like people know him as Iron Man more than they know him as Robert Downey Jr. So unless you're like that kind of character, it doesn't really do justice. And that's why, like, you know, all these new movies that are making like Minecraft and all that, and like the trailer got such a backlash because the character, the people they were hired to do, like, you know, the acting and all that looked so wishy-washy. It's like it's like watching Jumanji, like, you know, 5 times, like 5 different sequels of same thing, because they know what the story is gonna be like. And it even though in anime also you can make the same argue that the story is kind of similar, like the character basically has no power, is very weak and everything, and suddenly gets power, or knows that the character has power, climbs into the ladder, becomes the best one, and everyone depends on the character to defend them, you know. And so that's like so I explained My Hero Academia and Naruto to you just right now.
That's just like shonen playbook in a sense, isn't it?
Like Hunter x Hunter as well, like those anime. And so you kind of know the story, like it's gonna be kind of similar compared to like movies or other things, but then you still enjoy it. There are nuances, you know. So like the back story, the historical story of the character is quite large. Like, well, I wouldn't compare My Hero Academia with Naruto. Naruto is here, My Hero Academia is here, in my opinion. When it comes to the backstory of the characters as well, like each and every character in Naruto, they have their own backstory, they have their own struggle of coming up and everything. It is kind of similar in My Hero Academia, but it's like very selective, it's very limited, and yeah, I don't know, but I just don't. I like my Naruto. I like my anime Naruto.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with like Naruto.
Yeah. So, what was the first anime you ever watched?
First anime I ever watched, probably like a lot of people like my age or a bit older, a bit younger, is probably Pokemon when it first came out. And like I feel like when I watched it, like most of us, it was just like an interesting cartoon that was.
I never understood Pokemon. I never got what it is really. Well, I never watched it like properly because it was not one of those cartoons that was translated in Hindi, like our native language, or like there is no cartoon that is translated in Nepali other than Moomin, which is Finnish cartoon. It comes from Finland, I think. Other than that, there is no cartoon that when I was young was translated in Nepali. So the cartoons that we watched, which were translated in Hindi or animes or Doraemon or Ninja Hattori-kun. So like Ninja Hattori-kun is like all-time favorite for me. Like when it comes to the childhood anime, Doraemon is very nice as well, but it's like the same bloody thing happening every day.
Yeah, it's a famous one.
It's a really famous one. I think the reason it's famous is like it looks very cute in the sticker when we make it, and telling about how I got into anime is because of stickers as well. So in our country, like when I was a kid, you could like buy these stickers of different anime or different cartoons like Ben 10 and animes like Naruto, Dragon Ball Z and all those, and you could make a storybook with it. So you could like buy the sticker, paste it in your notebook, and you can make a story out of it by yourself, or basically have lots and lots of stickers that no other person has in your classroom to be the coolest person in the classroom. So I had like 2-3 books like this big, notebooks that I made because of those sticker thing, and that's how I know Naruto, that's how I know Dragon Ball Z, and that's how I know Ben 10 as well, if you can count it as an animation.
Quite cool. I mean, I don't think we have that here, to be fair. I mean, that sounds pretty cool, to be fair.
Well, I wish I had kept the book. Like it would be really like I thought it was like a children thing. I just left, and my friends as well. I know one of the friends who might be watching this right now. He knows exactly what I'm talking about, and he knows how thick my books were and how many books I had as well. So yeah, so Pokemon. Do you like the game, the Pokemon game?
I mean, I played the first one. I don't like it as much as other people, but I feel like at that time, like when I was mentioning about watching Pokemon the anime, I think everyone was just into it. It was such a huge phenomenon. Like, I don't know. It's just, Pokemon just, I don't know how you describe it. It's just monsters that are kind of cute and creative, and the game is fun and all that stuff. It's just...
And it's iconic as well.
It is very iconic.
It's very iconic.
Like, one of the most iconic series out there, maybe? I don't know.
So, have you watched Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, both of them?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like, you know how famous they are, and like you know the influence of those animes in all other animes as well, and like you know how the animes that were inspired from Dragon Ball Z and Naruto and all those kind of things. But why do you think like people like discount them as like not being the best? Or am I repeating myself? I think I'm repeating myself.
I can't remember. I think it's just because they're a bit like, I don't know, it's hard to like introduce those sort of shows to like new people nowadays because they're just kind of a bit older now, and like there's a lot of filler going on. There's like about like Naruto has like over 100 episodes. Same with like Dragon Ball Z. Like obviously we can like sort of say like, oh yeah, these shows are great, but it might be a bit of nostalgia involved because we grew up with them. But they are, I mean,
well, I repeated myself, but but well, I'm glad you give the answer again. But so do you have any favorite genre of anime?
Like favorite genre of anime?
Yeah, I didn't even know there were genres in anime. Like you said earlier, shonen. Yeah.
Well, shonen just basically like means boy, I guess, in Japanese.
Okay.
And it's just like anime catered to boys, and I guess like ones we mentioned, like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, like you can kind of understand it. It's like usually has like younger characters, and like you can somewhat relate to their sort of struggles and stuff, and maybe being like Outcast and stuff, and it's got cool fights in it. I mean,
yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. So, are there any other animes, genre of animes?
You got like seinen is like considered like adult male stuff, where it's a bit more drama, a bit more like explicit sort of material, kind of like Berserk or even like Monster. You got shoujo, yeah. Shoujo is just like girl anime or girl like anime catered to girls, so your sort of Sailor Moons and stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of deals with a bit more romantic stuff. I know that's a bit of a generalization, but like it's a bit more sort of pretty, like sort of cute. Like, you know, did I say Sailor Moon? Yes, Sailor Moon and what other like shoujo stuff? Card Captor Sakura and all that stuff. Like magical girls animes are kind of big in that. And I think Josei's like the adult lady one, which I don't really know much about. But I mean, those are kind of like the broader sort of genres. Like you do have like sci-fi's, your fantasies, your sort of sports anime. Yeah,
we have a friend who is into fantasy animes, but but I haven't watched any of those because, well, the thing is like there are too many bloody episodes and seasons and all that, and it's quite like that's one of the reasons why I haven't watched One Piece. It's like 1,000 episodes. I don't have that much time right now. What do you think about? Have you watched One Piece?
I think I might have watched like 20 odd episodes of it, and it was fine, but apparently it does get better. And
it was very cringy.
It is a bit cringy. It is.
I'm not hiding it from anyone. Like I watched the first season, I guess, and it was like, oh my goodness, like the guy is so loud and everything. Well, people might say about me as well. So maybe that's me. No, it's just that it was a bit weird. It's like I think it's for the like kids, like, you know, the children when they're growing up. If you watch it, you might be like, you know, like the way the guy bounces when he falls or something like that. It's a bit, It's a bit more light-hearted, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's just maybe that sort of setting doesn't really appeal to me. I don't know. I'm not really the person to like, because people do love it, and I feel like we're you know, we're probably get some hate from saying about. For those people who love it, they must be watching it for a while. That's how we.
I mean, they're committed to watch like 1,000 odd episodes, so you know, fair play. I guess.
Good for you guys. Good for you. Whoever is out there who's top one anime of all time is One Piece, because according to IGN, it is in top 10. I think it's top 3 of all time.
Yeah. Well, if you're talking about manga, it is the biggest selling manga by a long shot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, but the biggest selling animated movie or series is Demon Slayer, isn't it? Or is this a Gaisen?
Oh, what, the movie?
Yeah. The highest grossing movie is Demon Slayer, I think.
It's either that or Demon Slayer Mugen Train, or it is Your Name or Spirited Away. I can't really remember.
Your Name.
I feel like those are in the top 10. Like,
have you watched Your Name?
Oh yeah, Your Name's fantastic. Yeah, very good
really
film.
Nice,
it's like it's a very nice film. Kind of not what you expect. It's kind of like it goes in one direction, then it's sort of completely just, you know, goes another direction. You're just like, damn, right.
Yeah.
And it's got like the emotional heartstrings to it, and it's just very well animated. Like the soundtrack's very good. It's just like everything just works. It just fits like a glove. It's very good. Yeah. The way I found that anime, like normies do, is what people might call it, is like when I saw that, you know, when the star falls through the cloud and goes down, my goodness, that someone drew that. I was like, you know, there are people capable of doing it. It's like, you must be the greatest like the drawers of all time. Oh yeah, well, I think that's like the power of like digital animation. Is just like you can do some crazy stuff with that. But that was Your Name. I really like the story. It's really nice. But apparently one thing is like in Japanese high school world, that kind of chemistry between boys and girls doesn't exist. It's only in the animes. Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe just this is like a fantasy for them.
For them as well, yeah.
But you brought up Your Name.
Yeah.
Which I can segue this into another sort of a question for me is, what do you think would be a good starting point for anime? Because in my opinion, I would say maybe start with like if you've never seen any anime at all, I reckon start with films, because you would do the same thing with live action stuff. If you want like the best sort of motion picture sort of experience, you want to check out something that's like short, concise, just like 1 or 2 or 3 hours long, and it's usually like, you know, very well made. And I find that with like anime movies, I think you get some really good stuff, which is, you know, good gateway. Like for me personally, I'd say something like you said Your Name. I think Your
Yeah.
Name would be a very good one
Yeah.
because it's quite appealing. It's got like a universal appeal that everyone can sort of get by with.
Mm.
Get by
Yeah.
with. Sort of. I don't know what I'm
Yeah,
trying to say.
everyone can enjoy my Your Name. I
Yeah.
don't think you need to have a specific taste in
Mhm.
certain kind of genre in order to
Yeah.
enjoy Your Name. I think Your Name can be enjoyed by people who
Yeah,
have like
it's
varied
just
taste.
yeah. I
or
mean, the concept is
specified
like
as well.
swapping bodies with someone in a completely
Well,
different.
let's not
Wait,
spoil it.
okay,
Let's
sorry,
not
is that too
spoil it
much
for other
information?
people.
Okay.
But yeah, I get what you mean. I kind of agree with your argument. Like, because getting into anime is like getting into like it's like an time investment. Like,
Mm.
it's something that you'll watch one episode every day when you're having dinner or lunch or something like that, or like if you get into it and if it's really really interesting to you, you will be wasting days
Yeah.
watching anime.
Yeah.
Well, when I say wasting, some people might get offended by it. I know there are lots of things that you can learn from anime, like if you watch Vinland Saga and Berserk, well, you do learn what it means to be like real men in the world. Like, there are some real men who say watching anime itself makes you less of a man. Well, yeah, I think we all know what happened to one of those YouTubers who said that. I forgot his name. He's a British YouTuber who was really into this self-help kind of genre. So like saying, oh yeah, you can do this to increase your testosterone and all that, and like, you know, you need to be focused and all that. And he even made two characters, like one was Jeffrey, and one is Adonis, and Adonis is like the Sigma Alpha Chad, and Jeffrey is the guy who wakes up in the morning, jerks off, and does all this kind of thing. So,
Jeffrey.
yeah, no, he just made the character. Like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think Jeffrey was his bully or something, so that's why he used that name. Or yeah, there is a reason. And in one of his videos, apparently he went into a rant saying that how watching anime is like you know, done by someone who is like weak and who is like, you know, not being able to express themselves, or is like an incel. You know, the incel character. They say like, okay, it's like an incel character, people who watch anime. And
This guy kind of sounds a bit like an incel, to be fair.
he's exactly, doesn't it? Because I don't think he knows about like it's an art form. First of all, anime is a fantastic art form. If you enjoy art, you'll enjoy anime. And also the kind of inspiration that you get from anime, you don't really get from watching Marvel movies. If you think watching Marvel movies and a macho thing. So I don't think there is like such thing as, okay, this movie is for macho people and this movie is not for macho people, because even children's enjoy Rocky. You don't have to be like a shirtless, like, you know, with a six-pack, like, well, I don't have six-pack, but yeah, I don't have I go to gym. But yeah, you don't have to be like a shirtless with a six-pack with a, like, you know, who can carry a big gun and go like that. You don't have to be that kind of person to enjoy a Rocky movie, do you? You can be a kid and
you don't have to be a boxer to enjoy Rocky.
Exactly. But yeah, and so that's what people kind of they get hate for saying they watch anime and all that as well. That's what I've noticed.
Just ignore that, I guess. Just
Yeah.
watch what you like. It's like you don't have to be insecure about it, I guess. You know.
Yeah,
This
but
guy
like,
kind of sounds a bit insecure about. Forget about this
yeah,
guy.
but then when you want to get into anime, choose a short one. If you don't want to watch a movie, if you want to watch a series, choose a short one, because there are very long ones as well. But I think movie is the best way to get into it. But saying that, I haven't watched lots of movies. Is there any like recommendation that I would give for movies, animated movies to watch?
Well, despite me saying Your Name, you could say any Ghibli film, like Spirited Away is always a good option. I mean, you know, it's just a very good film. It's one of my favorite films of all time.
Yeah, my cousin is really into Ghibli movies.
Yeah, it's just an easy-going sort of genre. Like
is there a movie called like 30 Seconds something?
Oh god, it is.
What's
There
the
is
name of
30 millimeters per second. I probably butchered that sort of line.
Let me look it up. 30 millimeters.
I know the one you're on about. Yeah, it's
my
like the
cousin
one with
watched it and she was 5 centimeters per second.
something like that. Yes.
Yeah. So she watched this and she was going on and on and on about it for so long. I was fed up, and that's the one reason I haven't watched it. It's like, yeah, and also apparently it's really emotional as well, and like it's some of those lovey-dovey things that doesn't really happen. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I can't say. But well, one common thing in anime these days we find is like, apart from Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, on like many animes that are quite famous, like you say the names of the character being European, and the settings of the anime itself is like very European. Do you know what
I think that might be just a fascination, like Japanese fascination with like European culture, I guess, because they kind of like that sort of thing, like King Arthur and like Lord of the Rings and stuff. Like you can see that with stuff like with Zelda and all that. it's got like a Western vibe. It's usually like, I don't know, a bit of a tangent, but I find like Western and like Japanese media and like American media, they kind of just borrow from each other. They sort of influence each other. So like back in the day, you had stuff like Kurosawa films, like in the 50s, that like inspired stuff like Star Wars and like all those other creators like James Cameron with like Terminator, Alien. But then it's like anime at that time would get influenced by that sort of Western media with like Blade Runner and stuff. It's just kind of like a weird sort of cycle. We just just keep on sort of stealing our stuff, or I don't know.
So it goes like both ways. Like we are interested into this, and they are interested into ours. It's like maybe that's the reason why Shogun as a series became so famous. Is that because there are some people who claim that the storyline is not great. I'm like, I need to meet those people and listen to what they have to say. But
I haven't seen Shogun myself.
It's really not. It's like really. Well, I don't know the reality of it, like how true it is to the Japanese culture of that time, the Japanese society of that time. But for me, it's really fascinating, and I learned quite a lot about Japanese culture as well. It's like from like just the fact that why Japanese houses are made with like they have like paper walls, and they are made with wooden frames, and they're made in such a way that it can be easily assembled and disassembled if you want, and if it like crumbles, then it will not like kill you or something like that. Like it's not made of stones and rocks and those kind of things, so which can crush you. And
is that something to do with like a bit of
earthquakes?
topics? Like earthquakes.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff.
it is apparently something to do with earthquakes, because they go through so much of them. It's like that is how.
Yeah, they want to rebuild kind of as quickly as possible.
Even learning that was like quite. It was nice. It was very engaging as well. That to learn about the Japanese culture and the way of Japanese society at that time, and like the rankings within the Japanese culture. We know if you know a bit about higher Japanese culture right now as well, or Japanese corporate culture, it's very hierarchical, and you can see that like it comes from the historical hierarchical positions as well, and the people in like in higher position, they are like revered, like they are respected by everyone. And but that was really fascinating stuff. And it was, I think it was anime that got me into Japanese culture and wanting to learn about Japan and wanting to visit Japan rather than the other way around. How is it for you? Was it the same way?
Oh well,
you have been to Japan as well, so like was it like the watching anime that made you like interested and fascinated?
I feel like it's just not just anime. I feel like I've always kind of been interested in like Japanese stuff, like even with like video games. I feel like it seemed like around like 80s 90s, I feel like both like Japanese games and anime were getting big in a certain way. So I feel like you end up liking both, like one, and it wasn't just one or the other. You ended up kind of sort of, I don't know, how do I describe it? Like the art style and stuff. It's just like, there's just something about it. You're just like, I like what they're doing here. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm like invested. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's like being a weeb, innit? You just
well, I mean, it's a perspective of how I look at it. In order to say, like, some people who are into animes, they're basically categorized as being certain kind of person, like a private, a bit nerdy, a bit geeky, as they say, like a bit someone who is like into like computers and video games and all that, rather than being out in the real world. But like, I don't agree with that.
It's just cool, man.
I mean, they
make cool robots. They make cute characters. It's just something appealing about it, I don't know.
We can say the same thing about people who watch Marvel movies, or people who are into like a movie made by Steven Spielberg or something. It's like you're watching the movie because you appreciate the art, you appreciate the way it is done, rather than like how it is done. We don't care about like how like the drawing is done, how delicate it is, and all that. We know it's really hard to do it, but we are into the art and we appreciate the art. That's why people who appreciate that kind of art are into anime. People who appreciate the painting kind of art are into paintings, and in that painting world as well, you see like a painting that is completely blue and there is a white line in between, and it's sold for $40 million. And you can say the same thing, like, you must be really nerdy and geeky in order to like that kind of stuff. So
people have their quirks, don't they? People people get obsessed with anything. It's just being a fan of stuff.
Yeah. But
Definitely.
just the fact that like Berserk and Vinland Saga, they are like very European setting and European name and European stories, and even that, and like they are they are famous like in Japan and outside Japan as well, and we don't watch it primarily because it's in a European setting or it comes from that part of the world. We watch it knowing that it is Japanese anime, and we appreciate the Japanese anime and art, and also their knowledge about the European culture. Don't you think it's really fascinating, like how much they know about it?
Yeah, they seem to be big fans of it. It's like they do their research on it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's quite nice.
But like when you see a Western movie made like a Japanese, like the Last Samurai and those
Yeah.
kind of, it's like it's private. It's usually a white guy that lands into Japan and is forced to become a samurai or
Westernized,
something
yeah.
like that. Like the destiny, like the chosen one is like our Messiah is here kind.
Yeah.
And like in my opinion, that is the worst way to like assemble another culture and make it like try to make it from your perspective, or try to make it from your way of like idea, like what do you think about that culture. It's like it's the worst adaptation that you could do.
Yeah, basically Last Samurai. It's not very
Well,
good.
I like the movie is
haven't
it's
seen
alright.
it in a
Yeah,
while.
it's alright. The
It's-
movie is not the bad, no, not bad, but like yeah, it's just the fact that
It ain't no Shogun, basically.
yeah, with Shogun, even though there is a white guy crashing into
Yeah.
the Japanese,
It's like a better
Yeah.
white guy crashing. Wait, I don't even know what that means. Sorry.
yeah, I think. Okay, yeah, maybe. All right. Yeah. So the one thing that I wanted to ask about is the Gundam as well. Like you mentioned that earlier before we started recording. What is it related to anime?
Oh yes, it started as an anime. Like I mean, Gundam is just more than an anime, isn't it? It's like a cultural impact. It's just a part of the culture now, I guess. Like it's probably one of all the most iconic animes out there. What would you want to know? Like what Gundam's all about?
Yeah.
basically?
It's,
Well, it's like most Gundams are like war sort of animes about like two factions usually, and like the way they like do battles is with mechs. Like the selling point is the mechs usually, with like how they look and stuff, and it's usually piloted by like a kid, so it has that sort of relatability. I guess we were talking about like last time.
also, you can make the Gundams. Isn't
Yeah,
it? You can
yeah.
buy and-
That's just
yeah.
another thing that it's just like, yeah, they're called gunplas. You can just like, it's basically just like toys you can build.
Yeah.
And
So what's the appeal? Is it like it is one of the genres within the anime, or is it like it's like a Lego as well that you can assemble
I guess
yourself?
it's
or-
like it is a bit like a Lego, like a sort of bit more complex Lego. It's like, you know, you building your own toy. Like, I mean, I didn't really grow up with Gundam toys, but if I did, I would be, you know.
Well,
all
I know
over
a
it.
lot of people who are into it. Like even PewDiePie is into
Yeah,
Gundam quite a bit. Yeah.
it's a fun hobby.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, but I would love to have one of those giant ones, like you can have it like table right there. Like
Yeah.
when we have a podcast setting, okay, I promise to you that we'll put one of the Gundams in there. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. What, are you going to build it?
I'll try.
Okay.
Yeah, or maybe buy one that is already been built.
Oh
and-
no, you gotta go. You know, I'd
Yeah,
make
well,
it help.
If I want to appreciate, if I want to appreciate the thing being in my studio, I'll have to make it myself. Otherwise,
Of course.
it's one of those things, like when your parents used to buy you phones and everything. When you dropped on the floor, it's like, it's alright.
Yeah.
But when it's your money,
You gotta-
you immediately pick it
Exactly.
up.
You got to earn it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like with Lego.
Yeah, you gotta earn it to enjoy it. Yeah. Well, another question that I wanted to ask is like anime. There are Western animes as well, but what do you think like the storytelling of Japanese anime? How do you think is different from the Western animes? The storytelling aspect of it.
I don't know. That's a good question. Sometimes I just find like it just feels a bit more relatable. Like they go with, like they talk about. I think like I mentioned it before, like the struggles and stuff, or just like sort of work ethic in a weird sense. You find that in like a lot of shonen sort of anime, they have a sort of deep sense of work ethic. Like you gotta like, you know, keep at it, and then you gotta succeed in a sense. Yeah, it's gonna be hard,
Yeah.
but you're starting off like, you know, down there,
Yeah.
but you go one day reach up there, and that's usually like what the main characters of a lot of shonen anime are all about in
Yeah.
a sense. And like people like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you find like a lot of like famous people, or not like famous sportsmen, like anime because it has that sort of drive, you know,
Yes, interesting. Yeah.
like especially with like stuff like Dragon Ball Z. Like
Yeah.
I can't really find an example who.
Well,
what
it's,
famous
I think
sports-
Israel Adesanya, he is into
Israel
Israel
Adesanya.
Adesanya, the UFC guy, he is into animes as well, and he makes those hand signs. I think are they from Naruto? I think they are from Naruto.
Yeah,
Or,
it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite into animes as well, and yeah,
So-
now I can see like why those people would be inclined to be watching.
Yeah, and
animes,
then like that's probably the reason he might have got into like UFC or whatever. You know, he's just
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
just basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that could be one of the reasons. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, the one storytelling aspect that I really find fascinating is like it's very emotional, but it also kind of shows the all different aspects of your life. So one part will be your struggling to be like the powerful or the power to get the power or something like that, and the other aspect is you like you like someone and that is struggle to liking that person, and the other struggle is like being accepted into the society. Sorry. So it not only is emotional, it's socially it's socially interesting, and it has a philosophical aspect as well.
relatable, basically.
Yeah, and I'm really into philosophy, so that's why. Let me drink water quickly.
Yeah, no.
It's more to do with the emotional and the social aspect, and also the psychological and philosophical aspect of it as well. Like I am interested in philosophy. I haven't. I'm not a philosophical connoisseur, unlike you, who's anime connoisseur. I do have favorite philosophies and all that, but like one of the reasons why I like Naruto is because of the philosophy as well, and the teachings that you can get from Naruto. It was the first anime that I watched where like the character had to struggle so much in order to be what the character wanted to be, and when the character became what the character wanted to be, and it was the best thing ever. It was
Satisfying, yeah.
Yeah. So that was one of the reasons as well, and because of that, like I have brought out some of the quotations from Naruto, and I'll read some of them now. One of them is from Orochimaru. It says, "It's a human nature not to realize the true value of something unless they lose it."
Yeah, that's quite deep from
Yeah,
that weird, creepy snake man.
saying that deep of a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's very true as well. Unless we lose something, we don't really realize how important it is, isn't it? It's like there is this song as well, like you only know the lover when you let it go. The Passenger. So.
Oh yeah, that
Yes,
one. Sorry.
yeah. So even the one of the main reason why that song is so relatable is that exactly. It's like you only admire summer when you see the winter, when you go through the winter, isn't it? It's like if you now were to go on a holiday to Australia and enjoy summer there, and come back here again in summer, I don't think you'll appreciate how better winter can be as well, because summer can be bloody bad as well. So it's a small thing like these kind of things that I like about Naruto. And another one is rejection is part of any man's life. If you can't accept and move past rejection, or at least use it as a writing material, you're not a real man. I think we all know, if you have watched Naruto, who said this is Jiraiya, and it's very true. It's like we think rejection is something that will alter our life, but it doesn't.
It's just failure in general. You gotta just use that as a learning experience, sort of thing. You know, you don't want to like, you know, yeah.
So it's something like let's say now I want to apply for a job, and I'm really scared I would be rejected. What would happen if I get rejected? I would be in the same state I am now. If I get the job, my state could be better. But if I don't get the job, it's not going to be worse. It will be same what it is right now. And I am enduring what it is right now. So it's not going to get worse. It could only get better. It can only get better. It cannot get worse when you get rejected by something. Unless that's the last option you have. And
it's just, you never know until you try it, basically.
Yeah.
You just try it, and you know, if you fail, you pick yourself back up, basically.
And the one that I kind of really like is from Obito Uchiha. He says, the moment people come to know love, they run the risk of carrying hate. It's very deep and very true.
Very deep, yeah.
You can only know love when you know hatred and all that. Yeah, so anime. Is there anything that you want to add? So what are you watching right now? What anime are you watching right now?
think I'm watching Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. Oh,
Yeah.
how are you finding it?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I feel like I have this problem sometimes with myself where I judge it too quickly. Certain animes.
Did you judge it very quickly, or?
So I watched season 1 of Demon Slayer. I thought it was okay. It wasn't anything I haven't seen before. I mean, the animation was fine. It's like it's doing everything like it's supposed to. It's like very well made sort of shonen anime. But I just kind of like, because I've seen stuff like that before, I was just like, whatever.
You can almost predict what's gonna.
Yeah, it does feel a bit
next stage is
predictable,
gonna be,
and like the flashbacks are kind of just like. It feels like it goes on for like too long, like in each episode. Did you not find that?
Yeah,
It's
the
just
flashbacks, like the same story, like where the character came from.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, we're supposed to feel sympathy for this bloody snake, spider kid. I'm like, oh god.
But that's the same with most of the shonen characters, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
The flashbacks are quite good. Can be.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If like you've never seen any sort of shonen anime before, like Demon Slayer would probably be a good option. So like all those sort of tropes wouldn't feel too like samey, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, season 1 was all right. Mugen Train was definitely a lot better. I found it was actually like quite emotional. Like the action's very good. It's just like without going into like spoiler stuff, but it's just very
it's really like that last scene. It's just very
It's just a very well made movie, and I'm like, it does click with me. It's like, okay, I get why people like the show quite a lot.
Yeah,
I shouldn't be too judgmental.
Yeah.
I found that kind of with like Jujutsu Kaisen as well.
Oh yeah, well, Jujutsu Kaisen is amazing, man.
It's like a different style of shonen compared to Demon Slayer. It's a bit more like smooth brain, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's really hard to predict what's gonna happen in Jujutsu Kaisen next.
They just kind of like fuck it, we'll just do this and just kind of see what happens. I feel like Demon Slayer is a bit more standard, just more streamlined. It kind of like I don't know.
Like in Demon Slayer, there is one protagonist, but in Jujutsu Kaisen, there is not one protagonist. There are many.
Yeah.
So it's not like what's the guy who is the finger of Sukuna? What's his name? He's not the main character either. Like it's not that Itadori, Yuji Itadori. That is it.
Itadori is the main character. Yeah.
No, but apparently not really. It's like apparently there is no like one main character in that movie. That there are different protagonists, and in the next season we might see someone else being the main character. And
really? Okay.
So apparently it's something like that. But yeah, I really like Jujutsu Kaisen. I wish they could make the animation the series quicker so that I could watch it again.
That's the thing. Like the animation's so good that it's gonna take a while, isn't it?
Take a while, and apparently people are feeling burnout and everything, and all that kind of thing was going on in there as well.
Well, making anime is very hard job.
Yeah, and I think it's the Studio Ghibli, the chief guy who there were a few people who wanted to ask AI to make the anime, and he got really offended. It's like, well,
AI is
What do you think is gonna happen to anime because of AI? Do you think we will see more and more of like a generic stuff, like what we see from Marvel and DC these days?
Possibly. I mean, it's like balancing work and just like a product that's quite good. Like, but I guess AI is going to help that, isn't it? In a sense,
AI can help, but it
doesn't. It feels like very unnatural right now, and I'm not really crazy about AI.
So,
AI art.
Did you watch the movie Joker do X4D or something? Yeah.
Oh no, the
Joker
recent
2.
one.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. Did you watch it?
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you haven't watched it. I have watched it a bit, but I'm.
I think it's quite unpopular, isn't it, compared to the first one?
Well, they unmade the Joker basically.
Did they?
The bone. It was not reborn of Joker. It was the unborn of Joker.
Yeah.
They messed it up big time.
What didn't you like about it? Like,
well, the main thing was like it's not focused on Joker, and it's musical as well. So I do understand the aspect. Like Joker might be like musical could be better because Lady Gaga is there. She's a phenomenal singer, and the songs are really nice as well. But the musical doesn't really relate to the thing that is going on, and then it doesn't really focus on Joker.
Was it more Harley, I guess?
Yeah, and at the end, it's just like a Joker basically. They saw a random guy towards the start of the movie, and you see the same random guy at the end who shoots the Joker, and carves the smiley face on his face, and that's how the movie ends. I'm like, what? It's like
Basically, I'm not gonna watch that.
yeah, it's
is
like
what you're trying to
well,
say.
the musically score of. So one good thing about DC movie or Joker movie is like the musical, like the background music. It does seem to be good, and in terms of cinematography, I don't think you regret like watching it. But like the storyline and everything, it doesn't make sense. So.
Do they say it's like woke? Isn't that like
Well,
an argument? They say like, oh, if you don't like it, you're just like a
why? Because Lady
incel
Gaga
or
is
something, or
why?
then like the people saying it's too woke. I don't know. That's
Why
what
is it because like the Lady Gaga is the main protagonist, or
I guess so.
well, come on, if you were to make a Harley Quinn movie, who would be the main protagonist?
Harley Quinn.
Yeah. So.
So yeah, you want a
This movie
Joker
is
movie
more
to
of
be
a-
about Joker.
Yeah, this movie is more
Yeah.
of a Harley Quinn movie than a Joker movie. It's nothing
Okay.
woke in that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, why is Harley Quinn in the movie with Harley Quinn? Like, come on.
Fair enough.
All
I
this
wasn't gonna
woke
watch
thing-
it anyway. To
No,
be fair.
Well, apparently, to going back to the anime, apparently one of the reasons why European names and European settings are used in Japanese anime is like, especially to do with the you said there is a genre for that is targeted towards females. So in that genre, they can't in Japanese character with Japanese characters like that have Japanese name and Japanese setting, they can't show the homosexuality and all those things. So in order to show that, they had to use European setting and European names as well because it makes it apparently easier to do that.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know
That and also the explicitness of the animes as well. So for that, if they have like this European setting and European names, it's quite acceptable.
They can get away with it. They're not
Yeah.
looked down upon, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
I don't. Okay, fair enough.
but one of the most European, like very very European-esque anime would be like. There are lots of it, but Attack on Titan, the very famous one.
Yes.
The Eren Eger, all those names and everything. And
Yeah, it's like a mixed bag, isn't it? You get
Yeah.
sort of all sorts of names.
Yeah, you get like German name, you get like
Mm.
French. Is there French name?
Is it Jean?
Yeah, I think there is English name in there somewhere. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's Japanese as
Yeah.
well. Mikasa's. Wait,
Mikasa, yeah. Is that Japanese? Oh, good.
I don't know.
It would be a cool name to give to a daughter. To be honest, if I had a daughter, Mikasa would be a cool name to give it to her.
Is it
But-
nowadays though? But people are gonna think, oh yeah, that's you just copying Attack on Titan now.
Well,
It would be
I-
cool if Attack on Titan didn't exist.
Well, I don't really care.
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, I like the character, but yeah, I hated after season 4, and after that, like honestly, until season 3, it was watchable. It was repetitive, but it was watchable. Like they go out, get killed, or kill bunch of titans and come back. Yeah, and some people like mysteriously die. And was it the season 4 when the ape comes, like the ape titan comes? Was it the season 4?
Ape.
Yeah,
oh,
the
you mean
last
the Beast Titan?
Yeah,
That's
the
like
Beast Titan.
season 2. Yeah.
Is it season 2?
Yes. Oh, what's his name? I should know.
Season 2, episode 1, apparently. Yeah. Well, so season 2 is good. Season 3 is alright, but after season 3, no,
Yeah.
I couldn't watch it. When they go into the mainland and the whole, like, come on.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I know that might be an unpopular sort of opinion on that because
I don't care.
yeah, I just for me like my issue with Attack on Titan, I thought like seasons 1 to 3 was like fantastic, some of the
Yeah.
best sort of anime I've
Yeah.
seen. Because I liked it. It was kind of simple. It's a simple sort of like high stakes sort of us
Oh, yeah.
versus them. Like how are we going to figure out how to beat these titans?
Who
And-
seem to be unbeatable.
Yeah, unbeatable. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it had that sort of mystery aspect to
Yeah.
it, where you kind of like you don't know what's like this is all about. Why
Yeah.
these titans are here, and like what's beyond that wall and stuff. And then when you got to like season 3, part 2, like the last couple episodes, it kind of explains quite a bit of that, and I feel like that's all you needed. I felt satisfied.
Yeah, you should have ended there.
So then it carried on. I was like, I don't really care about these
Yeah.
other factions, and it just felt somewhat rushed. Where it's just like, okay, we've got all these other factions around the world, but we're gonna just focus on one area, and we're just gonna focus on the main character.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah, I
really
was
want
like-
to get
And
into it.
I think the animation becomes a bit choppy as well after that. because,
Yes.
it's not like.
It's a different studio actually, but
Is it?
yeah.
Yeah. So that so one of the like you said, it's like the high stake. Like it was before they introduced Levi.
Yeah.
it was helpless. It
Yeah,
was
exactly.
hopeless. The whole series was hopeless.
Yeah.
When they introduced Levi, I was like, okay, there is a guy who can kill them.
Yeah.
So
Got a
they
bit
are
of hope,
killable.
yeah.
After that, I got a bit of hope, and yeah, like, oh man, first 3 seasons. Yeah, I agree with you. I do like it. I wouldn't. Would I say it's on my top 10 list? I would say it's on my top 10 list until then. But after that, no.
Yeah.
After that,
I'm
I couldn't stand watching it,
I
so I
agree
stopped
with that.
watching it as well. So
It's unfortunate because it seemed like it was peaking. It's like it's like a sprint where Attack on Titan was just like beating everyone in the race, and then it kind of tripped on its laces when it got to the final.
Yeah,
final third, like,
that's a very
sprained
good
his ankle.
analogy. Yeah, I think they got very greedy and wanted to make a lot of money. That's what happened to them, I would say. All right. In that note, is there anything that you want to share with us? Anime. If not, we'll go to our usual 0 hour thoughts when we express if we had any thoughts
Trying to think what
at 0
do we
hour.
talk about characters? I can mention
Oh yeah,
favorite anime character.
What is your all-time favorite anime character? Sorry, I forgot to ask you.
My favorite anime character. I mean, he's one of my favorite anime characters. Is a bit of a lesser known one from a series called Fist of North Star. His name is Rao. Basically, Fist of North Star is a post-apocalyptic sort of Mad Max-esque sort of series where, like, you got, what would you say? So yeah, it's got like these sort of thugs and stuff that like use axes and like kill people.
Oh wow.
But they have there's like this technique that some people can learn called the Hokuto Shinken.
Okay, that sounded very similar, but yeah.
Yeah, where basically you can make people explode and then only a few people know it. And so there's this one character called Kenshiro that he has it. And he's like the main protagonist. He's basically, I'd say, in a sense, he's like the ideal person to strive to be. He's like sort of like, I guess in a sense, a Mary Sue. He's a very do-gooder. He's no nonsense. He helps the weak, fights like bad guys. But he isn't my favorite character because I find like he's kind of too perfect in a sense. Whereas you got like the antagonist named Rao. He's like his brother, but they're not really brothers. He also has the same sort of technique. He's also learns that same sort of martial art called Hokuto Shinken. Probably butchering the pronunciation. Like the reason I like Rao more than Kenshiro is because he's more flawed, and I feel like you kind of somewhat relate to him. He's like, yes, he's the sort of antagonist, but he's like, you see where he's coming from. He has his own way of like finding a solution in this sort of post-apocalyptic world where he sort of sees it as like he rules with an iron fist. If you like mess with me, I'm gonna just take you down. I'm just gonna oppress you guys in a sense.
Yeah.
But he in his opinion, that's the way it works. And like if he like he's in love with like Kenshiro's girlfriend, and he just thinks to himself, well, I like this girl. I'm gonna have her. She's mine. I don't care about no sort of like chatting up sort of situation. Like, you're gonna be mine. You're gonna be my wife. We're gonna rule together, sort of thing. And he's just like he has like sort of insecurities, and he's just kind of like, I don't know. Like an example would be like there was this fight where I guess we're going into spoiler territory.
No, that's all right.
It came out like 1 billion years ago, so you haven't seen it, so I don't know what to say. But basically, he has like they fought each other, Kenshiro and Rao. They kind of did like they sort of drew in the first fight, but in the second fight, Kenshiro sort of beats him quite soundly, and he doesn't understand why. Because like usually like to get this power, you have to be quite cold and sort of ruthless and strong. But like the way Kenshiro gets this power isn't really like this sort of new sort of found power he has. It's not from like sort of anger and fear. It's more like sorrow for all the people that have died that he has known. And he's just like he doesn't understand it because he's kind of a bit sort of a masculine sort of guy, and he's just there's like a fight he has like kind of after this sort of fight where he gets beaten by Kenshiro, where he wants to fight this person that traumatized him, this big like beefy guy called Fudo that when he was a kid like gave him fear, and he wants to sort of overcome that fear. So when he does fight this guy and he does well, but there's like this little niggling sort of feeling where like he kind of scares him a bit, and he kind of sort of like backs down a bit, and he like kind of hates himself for that because like they end up beating this guy, but with the help with like one of his soldiers, and he just like he gets mad with the soldiers like, why did you just help me like that? And he just like beats him to death or something, and yeah, I don't know. He's like he's got a bit of selflessness as well, and like at the very end when he's like, we find out that the sort of the female love interest, Julia, she has like an illness, and he basically captures Julia, and he finds out about this illness. And he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna use some of my power to make sure you, you prolong your life a bit more, because I know I'm bound to like face Kenshiro again, and I'm probably gonna lose. And I don't know. I find that kind of like that sort of he has a bit of selflessness, even though he's quite a proud, very ruthless sort of guy. Yeah. And basically, they have this final fight, Kenshiro and Rao, and Kenshiro eventually does beat him. It's quite a close fight, and he just kind of like, in his sort of last words, he like respects Kenshiro as like sort of like a brother and sort of thing. And he's like, which I'll go into like probably one of my favorite anime quotes. He's just like, when he's about to die, he just kind of stands up, lifts his fist up in the air. He's like, in my life, I have no regrets, and that's how he dies.
Wow, okay. That's really cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I like the character now. I think I'm gonna watch it. Fist of the North Star.
It's an older series, so it's like the animation is a bit old school.
Well, I think I'll have to take that into consideration. Yeah. Well, talking about that, like I started watching older movies now. I watched one movie called 12 Angry Men, the older version one, like from 1957 or something.
Yes, yeah, that's a great one.
And that was so fascinating. And after that, I've been trying to find nice movies from olden times and trying to watch them.
It's just one setting, isn't it? It's just like a lot of talking, but very
that movie
engaging. Yeah.
For those who haven't heard of 12 Angry Men, it's not I think you will confuse it with like it.
It's not an anime.
Yeah, it's not an anime, and it's not like the movie Quentin Tarantino movie. It's not one of those movies. It's just about like 12 people in basically one room trying to come to a conclusion for one very challenging topic, and there was one person who has a different view, and listening to that person, they kind of, it's very Socratic in nature. It's very like a philosophy in terms of philosophy. It's very Socratic in nature. It's like he doesn't necessarily prove a point. He asks them, why do you have this opinion? And they can't answer it, and that's how it says it. So it's very Socratic in nature. So if you're into philosophy as well, I think you'll find that movie very engaging and very fascinating. I would recommend you to watch that movie, while also recommend you to watch animes, whichever anime you might find interesting. Well, that was your 0 Hour Thoughts, as well as the anime that you're watching right now. Well, I'm really glad you said that. In my all-time favorite character, well, you basically explained Sasuke in that kind of. Sasuke, I think he was inspired from that character, Raul, and the other character was inspired from the, like, it looks like the Naruto was inspired from the other character.
I can imagine so.
Yeah, there are a lot of similarities.
Yeah, you find a lot of older animes, a lot of newer ones borrow stuff and like,
my all-time favorite character, maybe from the Chainsaw Man, the guy from Chainsaw Man.
What, Denji is your favorite?
Yeah, well, I like. He has the weird motivation, the most cringiest, weirdest motivation to be powerful, and I'm up for that.
He's
like, go on, lad.
He's very like a simplistic sort of teenage fan.
Yeah, who is really attracted by a lady, and he wants to be with the lady. That's the most weirdest motivation I've seen someone have, and I'm like, go for it. Well, I wouldn't say he's my all-time favorite character. I think I would say Lee from Rock Lee.
Oh, Rock Lee, yeah,
he's my all-time favorite character.
I love Rock Lee.
Like the moment he drops those weight,
yeah,
damn, you can't beat that.
Exactly, yeah.
You can't beat that.
He's all about the motivation. He's just like 100 press-ups and stuff. He's just like, he's got that sort of,
like the rawness in him. It's like, if I can't do 100 push-ups, I'll have to do 100 sit-ups, and if I can't do 100 sit-ups, I'll have to do 100 laps. I was like,
he's every Jim Bro's wet dream, I guess. Wait, I don't know. That's right.
Well, now you say about that, yeah, why not? Maybe when I go to gym later on today, I'll be watching Rock Lee's fight or something. But for me, it's like at least all the characters have some power, but he has nothing apart from the dedication and the hard work. Like the one power he has is that of hard work, and that is a very rare power to have. And yeah, and I like that, and it's because of that reason I like Japanese culture as well. I like the Japanese work ethics. I know it's for people who know it, it's very draining. There is no work-life balance and all that thing. But come on, there will come a point in your life where if you really want to improve your life, you will have to do that. You will have to work hard.
You have to climb that mountain.
Yeah,
man.
you can't have comfort. You can't have comfort and easy life, and also have great life. Comfort is the worst enemy of someone who wants to be successful. I know I butchered this quotation, but yeah, comfort is the enemy of someone who wants to be successful. And there is no such thing as easy life unless you are born in royalty. Even if you are born in royalty, you have different problems. The problems that are unknown to us because we are not born in royalty. But for me, coming from nothing and being someone is the most fascinating story that you can tell, and it's the most fascinating life you can live, because the experiences you have, my goodness, no one else can share that experience with you. It's your raw experience that you have, and I think it makes you someone. That's why
that's why we like anime.
Yeah, that's why we like anime as well. That's why our lovely friend Loven. The one of the reason I tell him to you should go for solo traveling to your country is that it's like you learn things. I wish I could do it. If I could if I had time and enough financial backup to go do a solo traveling in my country as well, for few weeks, I would do it. I think it will teach us way more than what we learn in our university. Not technical stuff, but how to be a human being. It's really difficult to learn how to be a human being and how to work with other people. It's a
very
difficult
to learn how to be a human being. That's quite profound in a way.
It is difficult to be a human being. Yeah, we can be people, but we can't be humans.
But isn't that a very human thing to say, I guess?
I think so. I think it's a very pretentious thing to say as well. I will criticize myself, but I don't need someone else to do it. It's a very pretentious thing to say, I know, but these days, we're so much into ourselves, and also the thing is it's not necessarily because of capitalism or the communism or all those kind of ideology. It's the kind of life we live. We have our so basically we are born, we go to school. We start being teenagers, all this kind of hormonal stuff starts to happen, and that from that time we either become very alienated, introverted and all that, or we become extroverted and go into that route, and then you live you have same experiences but live completely different life. You need to think about your career, your university, what do you want to do, marrying and all that kind of stuff. You have no time to think about yourself, what you want. It's always the feedback that you get, and you work on the feedback, and people give feedback based on their experience. They don't necessarily give you feedback based on what you can do and what you cannot do. Everyone will say you can do it, but there are some things that you can't do it.
If you were different in a sense, yeah.
If you were to come to me and asking for advice to do things, say, I want to climb Mount Everest right now, so you can't do it. But I know there will be people who will say, oh no, you are demotivating your friend and all that. I'm like, he can't. If you can't do it, you can't do it. There is no point in sugarcoating it and saying you can do it, and you go and start climbing it. Halfway through, you fall down and you're dead. I don't want that to happen to my friend. I think we have forgotten to be realistic. I think we have forgotten to be a bit skeptic as well. That's what I mean when I say it's easy to be people, but not be human. Yeah, we are like a mass, like sheeps and all that. Anyway, to end this podcast, I would like to go through my 0 hour thoughts. It was inspired from Naruto a bit, but it is generally inspired from all the animes that I've watched, which are very similar animes. And the topic is, who am I? Who am I? What am I? What do I truly want? What do I aspire to be? What is my goal? How will I achieve it? What is my potential? Will I ever understand it? I know life is shaped by choices I have made in past and present. Am I taking the right decisions? Have I made the right choices? What if instead of writing this, I had chosen a different path? Would that have been a better decision? Who knows? In this world where everything, including my time and value, is bought and sold, what is my worth? Is it same to you as it is to myself? Hey me, who am I? Can the real me identify myself? Maybe I don't exist. Maybe the question of who am I doesn't exist. Perhaps I'm just a fleeting thought in the cosmos waiting to be forgotten. After all, when I perish in the air as a dust, the thing that is left of me would be nothing. Thank you, everyone, for joining into this podcast, and thank you, Jerome, for being here in this podcast.
No
Jerome will also be a reoccurring guest. We might do we will do a few episodes with Jerome. It will be on a completely different topic, or maybe the same
I just
topic.
want to say, if I seem a bit awkward, I'm
Nah,
sorry.
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. No one is perfect in this world, and if you want to look for perfection, YouTube is not the right place, and certainly Zero Hour Thought is not the right place to look for perfection. We'll never be able to give you any perfect advice. We'll never be able to give you any perfect answers. We'll never be able to even ask perfect answers. We are imperfect because we are human beings.
Hopefully you learned something today.
Yeah,
I don't know
hopefully
what.
you'll
something about anime. Maybe we helped you in some way. If we didn't, and we're sorry.
Nah, that's all right. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good time.